then maybe the council officers, and then the applicant or the applicant team, and then the residents, please. So, Councillor Goldie.
Mitchell Goldie, I'm a councillor in North Chingford. Thank
you. Councillor Lyons.
Councillor Jerry Lyons, and I'm a member of the committee.
Okay. Chris.
Hello, my name is Chris, Democratic Services, and I'm supporting Jenny Richards today.
Jenny.
Hi all, Jenny Richards, Democratic Services Officer. I'm clerk to the meeting today.
Donya.
Hi all, Donya Kellan-Terry, Solicitor, advising the committee today. Thank you.
Sherman.
Hi everybody, Sherman Xavier, Licensing Enforcement Officer, and I'll be introducing the report.
Thank you. Ray and Georgia. Ray, are you speaking as the applicant?
Chair, if I could step in. My name is Alex Green. I'm solicitor for the application team today.
Okay.
We have Ray, Georgia, and Kathy here, who are the applicants, and if we need them for any operational questions, etc. But I'll be doing the speaking, if that's okay, Chair.
That's fine. Thank you very much. Ray, you are the. You're the license holder of the pub at the moment. Is that correct? Okay.
Yeah, I'm the license holder, and Georgia works with me in the operation of the pub on the day-to-day basis.
And Catherine?
I'm the regional manager that works for the pub company.
Okay, thank you. So we have Hazel. Hazel, do you want to introduce yourself?
I'm Hazel Lewis, and I'm a resident of Hoppet Road.
Thank you. And Rose?
Yeah, I'm Rose, and I am also a local resident, and we are representing initially the Neighbourhood Watch Scheme and all the local residents in the area.
Thank you very much. Have I missed anybody? No. Oh, good. Let's go on. I'm going to ask Donya now to outline the procedure for this committee meeting. Thank you, Donya.
Thank you, Chair. We'll proceed by way of agenda item 3 on page 7 of the agenda pack. The licensing officer will present their report. The chair will then call for all parties to present their case. We will begin with the applicant. This will be followed by questions from the subcommittee and then questions from other parties. There are no responsible authorities present. Then the other parties, residents, will have an opportunity to present their case. Again, this will be followed by questions from the subcommittee and then questions from the applicant. The chair will then call for all parties to sum up their case, and we will begin with the other parties, residents, and then this will be followed by the applicant. The subcommittee will then retire to make its decision. The decision will be given with full reasons within 5 working days. Thank you.
Thank you, Donya. I'm now going to ask Sherman to present the report.
Thank you, Chair. An application for the variation of an existing premises licence has been received from Mr. Raymond Bell in respect of the Dove, Friday Hill, Chingford, London E46EL. The premises currently benefits from a premises licence authorising recorded music 24 hours daily, the sale of alcohol on the premises Monday to Saturday 10 a.m. till 11 p.m. and Sunday 12 p.m. till 10:30 p.m. with opening hours Monday to Saturday 7 a.m. till 11:30 p.m. and Sunday 10 a.m. till 11 p.m. Full details of the premises licence can be found at Appendix B. The applicant proposes to vary the licence of activities as well as revise the existing licensing conditions as follows. The sale of alcohol on and off the premises, Sunday to Thursday, 10 a.m. to 11 p.m, Friday to Saturday, 10 a.m. till 1 a.m, and any Sunday that precedes a bank holiday, 10 a.m. to 1 a.m. Also to vary the opening hours on Fridays, Saturdays, and Sundays that precede a bank holiday, Monday to read 10 a.m. to 1:30 a.m. Also, the removal of all embedded restrictions at Annex 2 and replaced with the consumption of alcohol on premises or the taking off, sale or supply of alcohol at any time to any person residing in the licensed premises is permitted. A full copy of the application can be found at Appendix A to the report. During the consultation, the licensing service received 3 representations from other persons that were considered relevant relating to the licensing objectives on the grounds of the prevention of public nuisance, the prevention of crime and disorder. 2 of the 3 representations were supported by a petition. No representations were submitted by any of the responsible authorities. Following the end of the consultation, one of the other persons provided a phone camera footage in support of their representation for the committee's consideration. After giving due consideration to the representations made and taking into account the views of the applicant, and after giving due regard to the amended guidance issued under Section 182 of the Licensing Act and the Council's own statement of licensing policy, the committee is respectfully asked to determine whether the application for a premises license should be granted in full, granted in part, or refused. Thank you, Chair.
Chair, you're on mute.
Thank you, Chairman. I'm going to now ask the applicant to present their case, and I assume that's Alex Green is going to do that. Is that correct?
Thank you, Chair. That is correct.
Okay, please go ahead.
Thank you. Good afternoon, all. If it's okay with the Chair and the committee, I will go through my submissions in 2 stages. One, I will just tell you a little bit about the applicant and the application. And 2, I will talk about the 3 resident representations received. So the applicants, well, very experienced operators, over 20 years in the trade, good reputation in the industry, works with a number of different pub companies and runs a number of different public houses in the wider area. My client has a very good working relationship with the licensing police in all the areas of their pubs, licensing authorities, etc., and is very well regarded by EI Group, who are the landlord here for this pub. EI Group conducted considerable due diligence when looking at the new tenant for this site, obviously due to its checkered past, and they spend a lot of time discussing this and this potential tenant, etc. The tenant, Mr. Bell, has installed a management team here who've spent approximately 9 months transforming the property into a quality community venue with a friendly atmosphere, local functions, food offering, and they even offer a pizza service in the car park, I think between 4 p.m. and 10 p.m. every day. New furniture has been installed, considerable investment, pool table removed, and I think it's safe to say that the target audience has changed from previous approaches here. I think my client really realised very early on that they needed to change the reputation of the venue due to historical issues, and hence the substantial investment. I think it's important to say as an aside that they've received no complaints over the time that they've been here at the property. And I'd also just like to remind the Experience Committee that this is not a review hearing, it's an application to extend potentially the sale of alcohol and opening times. They're currently at the kind of pre-2003 Licensing Act hours, 11 p.m, which are a little bit unsustainable. The hours sought, I would contest, are not abnormal or irregular for such a public house on a weekend. There are no extensions being sought here for live music whatsoever. If the committee is minded to grant the application in full, there's no guarantee that my client will even choose to open for the whole time being applied for here. It just affords them the flexibility and choice to do so if they wish, if they have events or functions being booked. So, on to the representations. I would like to say on behalf of Mr. Bell and his team, they do appreciate the neighbours' concerns. They totally do. They are doing everything they can to build up some trust and build up their reputation locally with the neighbours going forward. I do think it's important, however, just to make it clear from the beginning today that some of the comments and almost allegations made against my client and the team as far as the running of the management of this pub are totally baseless and unfounded, without a shred of evidence. If any of these comments about drugs, etc., were true, I'm pretty sure we would have the police here today to talk about it, and they would have been telling us all about it in detail, and I'm sure they would have put in an objection. I think the concerns of the residents, respectfully, are historical, based on what happened many years, well, over the course of the last few years. What they're concerned, quite rightly, what may happen in the future, in their eyes, what may happen based on the past. I would respectfully say that we should be concerned today about whether granting this extension for the sale of alcohol at weekends will have an adverse effect or not on the licensing objectives. I would ask you to consider the representations against the backdrop of the fact there are no representations whatsoever from any of the responsible authorities. There were no negotiated conditions with the police or the EHO. They are perfectly happy with this application. And just remind the committee that section 2.1 of the section 182 guidance makes it clear that licensing authorities should look to the police as the main source of advice on crime and disorder. So I'll just quickly have a look at Rose H's. I know we have Rose here today, page 48 of the bundle. We note that Rose and one of the other objectors are known to each other, and they organised a petition of the local residents. Not too sure what the petition said and what was said to people on doorsteps, etc. I'll just make one little technical point and say that the petition seemed to be headed up, let's check, with the words license extension to sell alcohol until 1:30 a.m. That is, of course, incorrect. It's 1 o'clock. So the petition was headed up with a slightly misleading timescale on it. So on Rose's objection, a lot of detail here about what used to happen in previous years under previous management. I think I'm right in saying that Rose has communicated to the licensing authority recently that things were quieter. Obviously, that's positive. My client has absolutely no knowledge whatsoever of any drink driving or drug taking that Rose alleges in her representation. The car park is fully covered with an extensive CCTV system. And as far as my client is concerned, none of this is taking place on their property. Of course, there are issues in society, but they're not necessarily caused by the public house. Rose has also made some allegations against Mr. Bell, which I would contest are totally unfounded, not backed up by any evidence at all. I'll be very quick about this, but he was not evicted from the Red Line. He had a 20-year lease, and the lease came to an end. And I think it was Heineken, the pubco took the pub back at the end of the period, which is perfectly normal behaviour. Also, comments were made about one of Mr. Bell's other pubs, the Sultan Waltham Abbey. It's not known for knife crime or drugs. The police are perfectly happy with the running of this pub. I believe Mr. Bell has been there for many, many years, and it has a very good reputation, and his relationship with the police is sound. No problems whatsoever. So I contest again that these comments are totally inaccurate. I would just quickly mention the football comment in here by Rose. Potential problems coming up with this winter's World Cup. I would make reference to the stringent conditions on the premises licence regarding football. These were imposed, I think, 4 years ago after the last World Cup. And I would say that they are very, very detailed, and they cover absolutely everything as far as football is concerned. So I do not think, with the greatest of respect to Rose, if she saw those conditions, I think she'd be reassured that football and football watching at this pub is not going to be an issue going forward. So Jennifer Byfield's representation on page 52 of the bundle, she's concerned about the closed off part of the car park at the property. Well, I can reassure Jennifer that the reason why the part of the car park at the rear is closed off is deliberate. It's closed off because it's hard to police. It's at the back. It's a big site. It's hard to police, and it is deliberately chained off so that cars and people don't congregate in there and don't go there because it's hard to police. I know there are also concerns in her objection about glass waste slash glass collection. I think this is a previous historical thing. However, if the committee is minded to grant the application, my client is perfectly happy to agree to a condition to state that no glass waste collection will take place between 10 p.m. and 7 a.m. every day. This is a condition that is referred to in your own policy. There are concerns about noise, customers leaving the premises. Again, another part of your policy. If the committee is minded to grant the application, we would happily agree to a condition to be put on the premises licence to say notices will be displayed on exits asking customers to respect local residents when leaving the premises and to keep noise to a minimum. We can even, to try and reassure the residents, we can even agree to a condition to state there will be no admittance, save for smokers, into the premises after 23:30 without prior written agreement with the management. There is a concern that I think people are worried that there might be cars coming and going late at night. Hopefully that condition might reassure that people won't be arriving into the premises after 23:30 on a weekend. Section 2.21 of the Section 182 guidance does state, and it's quite relevant here, beyond the immediate area of the premises, these are matters for the personal responsibility of individuals in the law. In fact, 4.7.3 of your own policy confirms that licensing law is not the primary mechanism for the general control of noise, nuisance, antisocial behaviour, particularly once individuals have left the vicinity of the licensed premises. I'll very quickly just have a look at Hazel Lewis's representations, if you don't mind, on page 54. I note that Hazel has confirmed no objection. There seems to be no problem with antisocial behaviour recently at the pub, which is obviously very good to hear. She has been very concerned previously about how the property has been run in the past. I would, however, contest it's a little bit unfair to kind of tarnish the bricks and mortar of the property. It does come down to management, it does come down to operators, and I would contest that the current operators here will do a very good job, and we can't say that the building is tainted. Also, just very quickly, I'll finish up. We've been sent a video link by Sherman. I haven't been able to see it, but I believe it relates to a UB40 tribute act that was played in the garden between 4 p.m. and 7 p.m. in May. I believe there were 4 security staff on the site, middle-aged local crowd, no complaints or trouble whatsoever. I would again just reiterate that if the environmental health officer had any issues with regard to the running of this pub, I think would have heard something about it, and I don't believe they've had any complaints whatsoever. So I would say those are my submissions on behalf of the applicant. Thank you.
You're on mute, Sally.
I need to stop doing that. Okay. Questions from the committee to Mr. Green? Mitchell.
I don't have any questions, Chair.
Okay. Jerry Lyons, have you any questions?
No, I haven't.
Okay, I've got one or two. My first question is, how long has Mr. Bell been running this pub under its, new management since the refurbishment? And during that time, have there been any call-outs from the police, say, or visits for any reason at the premises?
Chair, if you don't mind, I can say part of it. I believe approximately 9 months, but if it's okay with you, Chair, can I ask Ray to just answer your question for you?
Of course, please, Ray.
Yeah, we're here since the beginning of October, and we've had no call-outs from the police.
Okay.
Yeah,
that's good. Thank you very much for that. Okay. I think those are my only questions, actually. Have you, well, I just have one more question, which is, have you had complaints from local residents then? And have they communicated to you their thoughts about the pub since you took over?
No, we've so far we've had no direct complaints, and in fact, to the contrary, a lot of the residents support us in moving forward as a community pub, which is what we're trying to achieve.
Thank you for that. Okay, that's the extent of my questions. The other parties, that is Hazel and Rose, who are here, have you any questions for the applicant, for Mr. Green or Ray?
Yeah, it's Rose. I have a question. I understand that a lot of these problems are historical. Okay, but when you've lived here for 25 years and you see landlords come and go, I need the committee, all of you, to realise what it's to be like living on the front line of this public house.
Can I just intervene, Rose, briefly, just to say you will have a chance later on in this meeting to put your case, as it were.
Okay.
The questioning part of the meeting is just to sort of clarify points rather than to make a statement. If you can keep that in mind, please, at the moment.
All right, so your plan is to make this a community pub. How does opening till 1 o'clock in the morning at the weekends make it a community pub, and opening later in the evening make it a community pub, knowing that it's a residential area of lots of children, elderly and sick people?
That's a question for Mr. Green, I think.
Ray, would you like to answer that? As far as I'm concerned, yes, it is a residential area, but opening till 1 o'clock on a weekend, or having the flexibility to open to 1 o'clock on a weekend, I do not think is at all reasonable, as long as the property is well managed and well controlled. Ray, is there anything else you'd like to add?
Yes, we've had a lot of the residents wanting to have functions like weddings or 50ths or anniversary parties, and they don't really want to have them to end at 11 o'clock when all the other pubs in the area are open later. So the idea is to be able to facilitate them with the view to the licensing objectives and making sure that they still run to the standards that we all expect.
Okay, thank you. Hazel, have you any questions?
Yeah, I've got a couple of things. You say you have a license for recorded music. Did you get special permission for the live performance? And it would have been nice if the neighbours would have known about this, because we didn't know how long it was going to go on for. It was such a shock. I live 130 yards away and I could hear every word with my windows shut. So anybody living next door, it would have been totally unreasonable.
I can answer that, Chair, if that's okay.
Yes, please do.
Okay. Thank you for the question. Perfectly understandable. Under law, and I won't bore you with too much law, there needs to be no specific application for live music during the day for this sort of event. It was in the afternoon, and there doesn't need to be specifically live music mentioned onto the premises license for this requirement. That live music only becomes relevant if it's taking place after 11 o'clock in certain circumstances.
Okay. Thank you.
Sorry, I have another question.
Please go on. Another question, yes.
Just why has it come to this point for you only to agree now, Ray, that there should be signs up asking people to leave quietly, bearing in mind this is a residential area? Like Alex said, if it is granted, we will put a sign up. Why is it not up already?
Sorry, currently we do have signs asking people inside as they're leaving, and also as they're leaving the premises, we make them aware of leaving the premises quietly. We police it very well at closing time.
Okay.
I would just add, I don't think there's anything deliberate or cynical here. I just think it wanted to be formalised, and just so we can reassure all the parties and put it on the premises licence. That's all.
Thank you both. Okay.
Could I ask another question?
Okay, please do. Yeah.
If you are so confident that everything is going to work out, would you be agreeable to a temporary licence just to make sure things go okay? I don't know if this is how it works. I don't know anything. But it would give us both a chance to get to know each other and to trust you.
Can I intervene here and say I don't think a license can be granted on a temporary basis? What I will say to the residents is all licenses are subject to review at any time if an issue is raised, and if residents were to raise an issue, say with the council's noise department, there could be a review of the licence, or if the police are called in and decide the licence needs a review. But we don't issue temporary licences.
Okay, thank you. I didn't know that.
Okay, thanks. Is that all the questions then from the residents? You will have, as I said, you have a chance further through this meeting to put your case, as it were. Okay. So we're going to move on now. Okay, we do not have responsible authorities here today. Okay, so this is now the time when the residents can put their case. And I'm going to ask you, Hazel and Rose, each of you, to take 3 to 4, 5 minutes perhaps, if you need, to put the case that you're making at this hearing, please. Who would like to go first?
I'll go first.
Okay, thank you.
I understand what he's saying with regards to it being historical, but like I said before, we've lived here for over 25 years. We've seen landlords come and go, and they start off promising the world, and ultimately what happens is younger crowd come in, which is all I can see personally from a resident's point of view, opening late, the young crowd comes in, and with that comes the antisocial behaviour. We as residents in the past have suffered abuse, threats of violence, drug taking on our doorsteps, pissing in our gardens, people having sex and throwing their condoms in our gardens. And the biggest fear of the community whilst going round and getting the petition is that all this will come flooding back sooner or later. It is a huge concern. I don't know what residents frequent the pub, but when I went round, I done Little Friday Road, and there was one resident that frequented the pub. So I don't know what the local residents are that go into Ray's pub, but they clearly do not live on top of it. And I think that that's what we need to be considering here. Problems with the past. I know you can't judge him, and because it is a building. Sorry for my use of language. I don't have a solicitor to back me up here, but there's all the drug paraphernalia on the floor and drug dealers up and down. And you say I have no evidence of this. I have plenty of evidence of this. I have videos. I have photographs. And I didn't submit them because it's not while Ray's been in charge. But if you want to see historical evidence, I've got plenty for you to have a look at. I just think there's a general disregard for the neighbours here. And we have young children, we have to get to bed. The music's loud. It's not the responsibility of the landlord to clear his people away, but they can stand outside your front door for half an hour, smoking their weed, waking your children up. It comes hand in hand. I know it's a pub and you have to make allowances. I'm not stupid. But what I'm asking for is if this does go ahead against the will of the local residents, that some more is done to protect the residents from sins of the past. Some reassurances need to be in place. They need to clear the clientele away. Now, we're not opening the back car park because you can't police it, but essentially what you're doing is just saying it's a free-for-all in the local streets, so the residents have to park miles away. We can't come and go as we please if there's a function on. I can also show you photographic evidence of the parking issues that we've had in the past as well, Sally, if you would like to see that.
Well, I think it's possibly too late in the process to do that. But can you tell us what the parking issues are?
Explain. So I have an elderly neighbour who's 92. They parked on the drive, and when asked to move on, they abused her. I have an Asian neighbour around the corner who was racially abused when she asked them to move off of her drive. They park on the green in front of our houses. This is when there's a big function on, which is what Ray and Georgia are planning on doing at the weekends, at night time, at the weekends. It just makes it an absolute living hell. Now, the car park at the back is not open. You've got CCTV at the other side, the front. But what good is that to us? They're already out there shouting, screaming, fighting. Look, it's not happened in your watch, Ray, because you've only just gone in, and you've only been in there 9 months. But I can see the builders drive up. I can see them come out and collect their drugs. You might not see it, but I'm sure if you check your CCTV, you might find something. Just very concerned about the effect that it's having on the local residents, and really need you to take that into consideration. I'm not saying punish Ray for the sins of the past, but something needs to be done to prevent the sins of the past coming back. We don't want drug dealings on our street. We don't want the antisocial behaviour, the abuse, the loud music to whatever time in the week, 11:30, when our kids get up for school in the morning.
Rose?
It's acceptable. It's not a community pub, and I think opening it late is not making it a community pub.
Rose, I think you've been speaking for 3 or 4 minutes. Is that your submission?
Yeah.
Yes. Thank you very much for that. We've noted all of that. We will take it into consideration. Hazel, have you got a statement to make?
Yes, I would just like to say that they've got the car park at the back. If they're going to police people going in after 11:30, why can't they police their car park when there's a big function? Have they got CCTV at the back of the car park? So, people who work in the pub could look out occasionally to see what was happening. Why is all that space going to waste? And then they will keep them off the streets.
Okay, so that's a suggestion about the parking issue. Is that your submission, Hazel?
Well, Rosa said it all. I couldn't
understand
what she said. Thank you.
Thank you very much. I have some questions, but I wonder if any other members of the committee have questions of Rose or Hazel. Councillor Goldie.
Yeah, I have a question. Thank you, Hazel and Rose, for your representations, which of course we'll take into consideration. I just wondered if you could give any examples, and has there been any instances since Mr. Bell has been operating the pub where there has been crime and antisocial behaviour? I appreciate that. I understand the historical points you've said. I know the pub very well. I live in Chinkford. I just wondered whether there'd been any crime and antisocial behaviour in that period in which Mr. Bell has been running the premises. Thank you.
Can I just come in there?
Yes, please answer Mr. Councillor Goldie's question.
Yeah. I have a new neighbour, just moved along 2 doors along from me, and he's just recently put in a ring. And the other night, he said that 2 chaps walked up his front. They climbed over the little wall into the council land and came away with a package. Now, at 2 o'clock in the morning, you're not picking up a birthday cake. I'm sorry. It's drugs. So it's still going on. Whether it's related to the pub, I don't know. I don't want to tarnish the pub, but drugs are still going on around our houses. Thank you.
Mitchell, is that the extent of your questions?
Yes, no further questions, Chair. Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay,
Councillor Lyons.
Can I answer that, please, Sally?
You want to answer as well? Okay, go on.
Yeah, you asked both of us. I have seen cars. Unfortunately, I didn't get the registration plate, But drive up, people come out of the pub, or this is around lunchtime, so it's not the evening extension. This is the builders that come in for their lunch. Come out, take their package through the window of a car, go back into the pub. The car drives off. Now, I can't prove that's drug use, but I've been there long enough and I'm old enough to know that, once again, that's not birthday cake. I've only seen it once or twice since Ray has been there, which is a credit, because it used to happen every single day. I would say, I don't know, 20, 30, 40, 50 times a day. You know, but he hasn't been there that long. Prior to that, it's been COVID, and he's been doing it up. So only time will tell, to be honest with you.
Okay. Thank you, Rose. Thanks very much. My questions were similar to those that Councillor Goldie put. I would also just like to ask, in addition, and we've had your answers about drugs and antisocial behaviour, music. Has the music been exceptionally loud or loud late into the night since Ray took over the pub? Hazel or Rose, could you answer that?
Only on a few occasions, in my opinion.
Okay.
Experience. Obviously, the Scar, we knew there was something going on. We knew that there was something. I thought it was a Scar day. I was actually quite enjoying the music, to be honest with you, but it was ridiculously loud. And I know that there are shift workers that live closer to the pub than I do that didn't appreciate it.
Okay.
But yeah, only a few evenings. It tends to be when the door is opening and closing and they're coming out to smoke that we hear a lot of it. But the neighbours that do the shift work said that they have it quite loud in the garden a lot, even if there's no one there. Now, this is just what a neighbour is telling me. So I don't know.
Okay, thank you. Do you know if that neighbour, for example, has complained to the pub about the noise?
No, they haven't.
Okay.
Like I said, because of past experience of abuse, and we all kind of live a little bit of fear of retribution in these streets.
Okay, thank you very much for that.
Thank you.
Does the applicant have any questions of the residents? Mr. Green.
Thank you, Chair. No, I don't think any questions of Rose and Hazel is necessary. I'd thank Rose specifically for confirming that the matters are historical problems and that she doesn't know who actually frequents the pub, and therefore it's very difficult to know. There's no evidence that any people even causing any of these problems have even been to this pub. Some guy with a package at 2 a.m. in a neighbouring house is not related to the pub, and it's a societal issue, I'm afraid. And total respect for the issues that are going on, but it's not the pub's creation. And Ray and Georgia and the team will do everything they can to make sure that this does not happen on their watch. But yeah, I have no specific questions. Thank you, Chair.
Thank you, Mr. Green. So I'm now going to call for all parties to sum up their case. And we don't have responsible authorities here. So again, it's up to you, Hazel and Rose, if you want to make a very brief summary of your case. This is not a time for questioning, but just a very brief recap of your case, if you so wish to do. Hazel, do you want to do that?
I don't think I can add anything else to what Rose has said. I'm just, can't go to sleep of a night with the windows open in the summer if it's going to be 1 o'clock in the morning when people are coming out. And that's not fair on neighbours. I'm in my 70s. There's people in their 90s live in these streets. It's no fun. You can't go and ask people to be quiet because you'll get abused or bricked through the window or a damaged car. You just live in fear. all the time. And maybe it's not the landlord's responsibility or his problem, but it's not ours. And we bought these houses. It was a nice little pub. In fact, when I moved there, I think it was even shut then. And since then, every landlord has had a problem. I can't believe this is going to be any different, especially till 1:30 in the morning. That's all I've got to say. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Hazel. Rose, have you a brief recap of your case, please?
I don't think I need to say any more, other than we don't want it to go back to the days of old, and we need some reassurances in place if you are to consider this licence further. Because it is absolutely detrimental to the health of the people here. I myself, I've had 6 surgeries for cancer and chemotherapy. I need my sleep. I need my sleep. I need my body to heal. And I don't want to be woken up by the pub. I don't want to be abused if I go out and ask people to be a little bit quieter. I want to be able to open my daughter's window without her smelling marijuana wafting through.
Okay.
You know, and I can see your face, Ray, but you don't. It's your living. We have to live with it.
Rose, please. This is not a conversation as such. You've made your case and you've given us a recap of your case, and I think we've heard enough. Thank you very much.
Let's see how it becomes a community pub then.
Okay, thank you very much. The other party who needs to sum up their case is the applicant, if they so wish.
Thank you, Chair. I'll be very brief here on the sum up. Section 9.43 of the Section 182 guidance states that the authority's determination should be evidence-based. This was backed up by the well-known High Court case of Thwaites. So evidence, what is the evidence here? No objections or concerns whatsoever from the experts and primary sources of guidance and crime and disorder, nuisance and noise, being the police and the environmental health. In fact, total respect to the 3 residents, but out of all the residents in the area, there were 3 objections. Surely if this problem was, if this area was such a problem area, and if this property was such a problem, the police would be here and would have objected. This fact should carry considerable weight when determining this application, in my opinion. As we've already seen, there are robust and comprehensive conditions already contained within the premises licence. We have also offered up 2 or 3 conditions that my client is perfectly happy to have on the premises licence, and these are conditions that are referred to in your own licensing policy. On the side of the objectors, with the greatest of respect, we have supposition and speculation and guesswork as to what could or may happen in the future, based solely on historical issues from previous operators. As the committee will know, being an experienced committee, an application cannot be refused on the basis of what might happen. I'll finish by reiterating to the committee, and with respect, Chair Candy stole my thunder here when she mentioned it already earlier. A resident can, at any point, apply to have a premises licence reviewed if there are issues, and the property is failing to promote the licensing objectives, being crime, nuisance, etc. Rose, Hazel, etc. Anybody who have issues here, they can apply to review a premises licence. So I will conclude by thanking the committee for their time, and in light of what we've heard today, I would respectfully invite the committee to grant the application in full. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Green. That is the end of the hearing, in the sense that we've heard all the submissions, we've heard from the applicants and residents, and from Sherman, his report. The committee will now retire to consider everything we've heard. I would like to thank everyone who's participated today, the applicant and Ray and your representatives, and Hazel and Rose for coming today. Thank you very much, everybody. We will make a decision, possibly not immediately. I'm going to ask Christopher to sum up what happens next, or Jenny. Jenny, would you like to just give the attendees an indication of what's going to happen next, please?
Yeah, absolutely. So the committee will be retiring to deliberate in private, and all present today will receive a written notice of the decision within 5 working days, and that will include information on right of appeal. And the decision will also be available on the council website.
Thank you very much. Again, thank you, everybody, and you will hear from the council in due course. Okay. Bye-bye. Have a good afternoon. Goodbye.
Thank you.